Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to be going over the commander system in World of Warships Legends. It's going to be primarily geared towards beginners, but if you guys are more experienced players, maybe you want to stick around and see if I leave anything out. You got more tips for the newer players. The commander system is kind of the main check on your progress. It takes a little while to get through it, so you want to start off on a good foot. Usually players, they go hard into the commander system, and then once they figure out what they're doing, they kind of regret what the choices they've made. So we'll be breaking it down. First off, if you're just starting a new game here, you can see we got a new account, Dewey Buffer. But you start off with the generics. You got George Dewey, you got Dewey San, you got the Duke of Dewey, Deutsche Dewey, Francois Dewey, Dimitri Dewey, and Pasta Dewey. So those are kind of the defaults. You really want to be very careful putting too many commander resources into those. And what are the resources? Well, we got Commander XP. These are the blue stars. This is the most readily available to get. So to level up a guy up to level 7, I believe. Yeah, levels 1 through 6, all you need is this blue XP. You need it through all the levels. So, you know, if you're just starting off with the game, it can be a little bit tough to get. But as you get further in the game, you'll have more and more on hand. Promotion orders, those promote the commanders through level 7 through 13 are just promotion orders. And then insignias to go, I can show you right here. So to get them up to level 11, here it's, level 13, 153 promotion orders altogether. That's the end of the promotion orders. Then you need 1 insignia, 2 more, and then 5 more on top of that to get to level 15. And then these commendations, these are basically when you get duplicate commanders. That won't happen very often when you're just starting off. That's personal commendations for duplicate, and a general commendation, the blue one. You'll get those a lot of times in campaigns or other rewards. Those are used to level up these guys in the legendary perk slot right here. So that's a little bit further down the line. But in general, when you're starting off, don't go balls to the walls. You don't want to be putting 153 promotion orders in Campione here, or you're going to regret it later down the line. So basically my advice for when you're just starting off and you're leveling up your commanders, you want to kind of identify which commander you think you're going to want to put on each line of ship that you're going to use, and then you want to target ones that you are also going to use as an inspiration. You can this base trait right here, for instance, Dewey, he increases the torpedo detection range. And then once you level up to level 7, you can put this base trait on a different commander. So if I got Dewey San over here, if we got him up to level 7, then we could put George Dewey as an inspiration here. And I believe it's level 11. Yeah, level 11 you unlock the second one. So if you can find commanders that you think you're going to want to use on your lines, and I'll be going over my picks for you. And then if you see that they have a good inspiration that you want to put on a lot of lines, then those are the top commanders that you want to promote heavily. Commanders that you're just going to want to use on the lines, well, I'll give you my breakdown. So for generic commanders, when you're just starting off, I wouldn't level any of these guys up past level 11, except for one guy, and I'll explain that here in a moment. So the generics that you start off with, the Dewey commanders, don't go over level 7. And then once we are unlocking these commanders over here, and we actually got a crate here so we can see what we do. You get this after completing like stage 6 of the tutorial. So you go up there by hitting the triangle on PlayStation or whatever the top right thumb button is on Xbox. Then you click on the crate, unlock the crate here. Who do we get? We got von Mueller, German cruiser commander, which is great. He's the one I'd be recommending there. So you know, we can go into here, and then let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, so this guy, for instance, I'm going to recommend him being on the line. So I'd probably want to recommend these guys, bringing them up to level 11. And then, for instance, let's say I was going to use this guy heavily as an inspiration, then I would recommend going into level 14. That's 1 insignia, 465,000 blue stars, and 153 promotion orders. A lot of resources. But let's say I'm going to be using this base trait on a lot of different lines as an inspiration, then it's worth it. If I'm not going to be using that inspiration, then I would bring them up to level 11 to start off with. And for these generics, once again, don't bring them up past level 7. So let's see. how do you get the commander crates every week? Well, what you want to do here, you go to this campaign's mission, and then it's the one called Weekly Boost right here. This comes out every Sunday. It refreshes. You get a new mission, and you can see Weekly Boost 1. You got to win a battle, and then after you've done that, then you got to get 7,000 general XP, which isn't too hard to do. This is like play a handful of games usually, and then you can see there on the rewards at the bottom of that box, you get the commander crate, and once again, it'll pop up here, and you just open it. When you're starting off unlocking these guys, you can't. All these guys that are included in the game, you won't get duplicates until you've unlocked them all. So it's going to take a little while. There's a lot of commanders in the game at this point in time. If you're just starting off, you got to understand that it's going to take a while, but don't fret. You can also, if you want to boost your progress, you can go into here. A lot of times there's commander crates for sale on here. That's up to you if you want to spend money. If you do want to spend money in the game, I would recommend getting the Ultimate Firepower edition of the game. I'm going to put a link to that in the description. Basically, you get a lot of the premium ships. You get 4 premium ships. You get some doubloons, premium time, which will help you out. That's the best value for the game. The premium ships, by the way, that'll help you out getting promotion orders. In addition to this weekly boost, every Sunday you get this premium supplies. And here, we got to win a battle in a tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6. So you're not going to start off with these premium ships. But if you get the Ultimate Firepower Edition, you're going to get 4 premium ships. That's going to up your progress here on these promotion orders. I think without any premiums, you're going to get 30 per week, assuming you do all these missions in the weekly boost. If you get the premium ships unlocked or added to your navy, then you're going to boost how many promotion orders you can get every week. So that definitely helps out. I'm going to break down my recommendations here for you guys. Now, these are my opinions. Again, if we got some more experienced players coming in here, maybe they got different opinions they want to share with you guys in the comments, so be sure to check out all that. But first, I'm going to go over the inspirations. Now, as far as these generics, I told you I was going to tell you which one I actually think is valuable. Dimitri Dewey right here. This base trade increase the minimum ricochet angle of your ship's AP. Now, this has to do with armor angling. It makes it harder for ships to protect themselves. We're not going to get too deep into that at the moment. If you want to look up my beginner's guides, check out armor angling. I'll explain all that in there for you. But this one I actually think is pretty valuable. I've been using it more and more on as an inspiration on different lines. So usually I would say, don't level these guys up past level 7, but if you happen to be into these Russian ships and you want to put some extra points in him, and consider using him as an inspiration. For the two top destroyer inspirations, in my opinion, number 1, Bay. Bay's the most important destroyer inspiration by far. Increase the concealment of your destroyer. You got to just keep your fingers crossed, hope that you get Bay unlocked early. If you're planning on playing a lot of destroyers, it's going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to make your ship harder to spot. And if you're putting this guy on inspirations, you can conceivably put him on every single destroyer line. I think I got him on every line except for the Russians. The other top inspiration of the destroyer commanders, in my opinion, a little bit controversial perhaps, I like Valiant a lot. I put him on some cruiser lines and some destroyer lines. Increase the dispersion of incoming shells. That makes it harder for the ships to hit you. Basically, it weakens the accuracy of your opponents every time they pull the trigger. So I think that's pretty valuable. In terms of cruiser inspirations, both of them, in my opinion, the top 2 are the Japanese. Makawa. Increase the concealment of your cruiser, makes it harder for your ship to be spotted when you're not firing your guns, makes moving around a little bit easier. Using concealment effectively is a skill that you're going to develop over the course of your career, but the better you get at the game, the more important that's going to be. So I got Macau on a lot of cruiser lines, and Yamamoto, I got him on probably 2 or 3 AP focused lines like the Germans and I can't remember probably Americans. I can't remember which lines I got, but he's useful. Increases the armor piercing capabilities of your shells. If the shells are shattering on the armor, you're not getting any damage, but if they go through the armor, of course you're getting good juicy AP damage. So both of those guys you can consider leveling up putting some extra points into them just to utilize those inspirations. For battleships, I think the top 2, in my opinion, Cunningham, increase the shell grouping, basically increasing your accuracy. Battleships, the more you play with them, you'll see they're not the most accurate line in the game, or class in the game, but he definitely helps out. And Kedrov over here, where is he? Increase the turret traverse speed, and turret traverse, that's how fast the guns turn on the battleships. very slow. So you could conceivably level this guy up very high early and put him on every single battleship line. Both Cunningham and Kedrov you could put on every single battleship line, and that would be an effective build. So those would be the ones that I would give a little bit of extra boost to in terms of leveling them up a little bit higher past level 11. The only one I don't actually use as a mainline commander is Yamamoto, but we're going to be breaking down the mainline commanders now. So these are the ones you kind of want to, these are my recommendations, of course, but these are the ones you're going to want to keep your fingers crossed for. For American destroyers, Halsey, you got the twist and track, most valuable destroyer perk in the game, in my opinion. Usually I'm going to recommend picking the commander that has that one. Halsey's just tailor-made for the American gunboat experience. For American light cruisers, there's 2 cruiser branches in the game. Let's see if we can take a look at them. Yeah, so this is the heavy branch right here, and this is the light branch, the Dallas, Helena, and Cleveland. For the light branch, my recommendation, Norm Scott, and for the heavy branch, Kincaid. Why do I say that? Mainly because of this ingenious perk. It increases traverse speed of the cruiser's guns. American cruiser traverse, very sluggish. People will go back and forth which one they want to put on which one, but that would be my recommendation after playing the game for quite a while here. For battleships, I think most players are going to go with William Sims. American battleships do pretty well at range. He's the accuracy commander. Battleship commanders, you're going to have an accuracy commander and a survivability commander. We're going to take a look at some of those. You can make a case for either of them on all the battleship lines, and that's fine. You can pursue your personal preference there, but those are my recommendations for the Americans. For the Japanese, almost every player that I come across playing Japanese destroyers has this one, Tanaka. He's more tailored towards enhancing the torpedo experience. I get that. If you get Tanaka and you want to level him up for your Japanese destroyers, that's perfectly fine. After playing the game for quite a while, I would go back and put all my points into Korita. Once again, twist and track that helps you spot the enemy destroyers, hunt them down, and as you get better at torpedoing, you're going to be using more blind fire torps as opposed to aiming just on the indicator. So this might be a little bit more advanced Korita, but if you get either or on these, I think you'll be fine. For the cruisers, definitely Makawa all day long. You got Ingenious, going to be telling you when you're targeted. It helps with the traverse. Once again, kind of a problem with the Japanese. And then we got a lot of mobility perks here, and you're going to need the mobility in the Japanese cruisers. If you're getting hit in the broadside, your game's over. So you need to be able to be dodging those shots when they're coming in. So Makawa all day for that. And the battleship commanders, I don't know. Kondo is gaining in strength as they're adding more concealment mods. His base trait, increased concealment of your battleship. That's becoming more valuable currently as they're kind of changing the meta of the battleships. But traditionally, I've always gone with Takagi. He's the one I've leveled up, and he's a good accuracy commander. Usually the Japanese battleships are going to want to be playing a little bit more at range, in my opinion. For the Brits on destroyers, I got Vian. I think he's the better build personally between him and Tyrwhitt. Tyrwhitt's more torpedo focused. Vian's a little bit more survivability focused. But once again, I recommend this base trait. You can potentially put that on every single ship if you wanted to. It's a strong base trait. I think it's underrated by the player base. But once again, if we can, let's say we're 50-50. We like Tyrwhitt, we like Vian, but we really like Vian's inspiration. Okay, that's the tipping factor. We want to put the points into Vian. So that's my recommendation. I'm sure some people in the comments will probably be disagreeing with that one. For the cruisers, I got my points into Fraser. We got a heavy cruiser branch and a light cruiser branch. Currently, I think I got Fraser on pretty much all of them. We got perks that enhance the AP penetration. Now, for the British light cruisers, you only have AP shells, so you got this perk here and this perk here. You could conceivably put Tenet on the heavy cruisers where you do have HE if you'd like to shake up your builds there. But if you only have one, Fraser would be the stronger one, in my opinion. Battleships, once again, some people prefer Madden. I go all day Cunningham, and Cunningham was the first commander that I actually fully maxed. I think he's the only one that I currently have level 16 plus 4 levels into that legendary perk there. Increasing that battleship accuracy, always strong. And the British battleships tend to be pretty accurate in general. The knock on this is they got really good heals on that line. And if we look at these survivability commanders, they get extra heals down here. So that's kind of the case for Madden. But once again, I don't think his base trait is worth anything at all, in my opinion. I think Cunningham's is worth quite a bit for Battleships, so I would go Cunningham. But you can play around with that as well. And I think I forgot to mention this, but when we're talking about, putting 7 points into these generics, 11 points into the guys that you're going to be using on your lines, and 14 for the guys you're using on lines / inspirations. If you are using one of these survivability commanders, you can conceivably put them up to level 16, because when you get to level 16, that's when you get that extra heal from using this perk, which is quite strong. Right now, you get +1 repair party charges. If you get it up to level 16, that changes to level 2. So, forgot to mention that earlier. Let's see, for the what are we on? Germans, we got Bay all day, every day. Once again, some people think that, they want to play the Germans more torpedo focused, which would be the Von Spies specialty. But once again, commander resources limited. Bay, once you get them, you should be putting them on most of, if not all of your German lines as an inspiration. And since we're putting a lot of points into him anyways, then we got to consider strongly, do we want to use him? And yes, he's got twist and track that alone should seal the deal, and he's got good perks to play the counter destroyer role. So Bay, probably the best destroyer commander in the game, hands down. Von Mueller, like I mentioned when we got him, he's the guy I would go for the German heavy cruisers. Great AP shells on that ship, and we can get some AP enhancements with this build here. So Von Mueller, definitely a strong cruiser commander. And the battleship commanders, you got to go with Ciliax. He's the survivability guy. The Germans are all about tanking and brawling and getting up there and mucking it up. Von Hipper is interesting because his base trait increases secondary battery range and improves its accuracy, which you would probably want to put as an inspiration on your German battleship. So if you get Von Hipper first, you can put some points in him, maybe bring him up to level 11, and then you can conceivably put him as an inspiration. And when I'm saying don't go past 11 or 14 or whatever, that's just to start. As time goes on and you get more and more of your commanders where you want them to be, then of course level them up past there. But for the French here, initially I went for the destroyers. I went with Violet. I think it's a strong commander build. We don't have twist and track on either of these, but as I played the French destroyers more and more, I think I'd go with Oboino instead. He's got a little bit more of a torpedo focus, and these are really fast destroyers. You don't have any smokes on them, so you got to be very careful. It's not the easiest line to start off with, but if you can use that speed and get into positions where people aren't expecting you, kind of give them some ambush torpedoes, I think that's a pretty interesting play style. So I'd probably recommend Oboino at this point in time. Cruisers, got to go with Rue. He's similar to Makawa. He's got more mobility and is a pretty good cruiser commander all around. So I'd go with Rue for the French cruisers. And French battleships, I think the player base is probably split about 50-50 between Emily here and Bob Jojo. I'd go with Jojo still. I think the French battleships tend to do pretty well. A little bit longer ranges, and a lot of them have some really nice guns to shoot. So if you can boost that accuracy, that makes the French battleship line quite a bit of fun. For Soviets, let's see, where's the destroyer commanders? We got Trubes here. He's the one I've leveled up. He's kind of a survivability commander. The Russian destroyers, when played properly, are kind of a long-range run-and-gun distraction type of a ship. Don't want to be focusing on the torpedoes as much. But I think the Troops build fits that bill pretty well. Kuznetsov, this is a pretty good base trait as well, increasing the main battery range of your cruisers. Always helpful on most lines. And overall, he's got a pretty good build for the Russians. I've heard some people go with Makarov, and I think that build's pretty interesting. They're not the most agile of ships, so if we can boost the mobility with this type of a build here, I think that's interesting. But at the end of the day, I put my money into Kuznetsov. And Kedrov, he's one of the top battleship commanders, of course. Russian battleships very tanky, assuming you're angling properly. If not, then you're in trouble anyways. But we get extra heals here, and once again, the base trait, conceivably you can put on every single battleship line. So Kedrov all day for that one. The Italians, we don't currently have any destroyer commanders, much to the chagrin of the Lione. owners. For the cruiser commanders, you got these two guys. You can make a case for both of them. At the end of the day, after playing the line, I end up thinking Mimbelli is the top way to go. Now, the base trait's interesting, potentially to put as a inspiration and reduce the reload, always helpful, especially on the longer reload time type of ships. So that's interesting as well, but we got more mobility, which I think is one of the strengths of the Italian cruisers. So Mimbelli gets my vote there. And then for the battleships, currently we only have the survivability commander D. Ravel. So that's my picks for those guys. Hopefully that gives you a nice place to start off with. Once again, if you want to check out that Ultimate Firepower Edition, check the description of this video. I'll have links there to the products on Amazon. Best value, hands down, in the game if you want to spend any money. The Ultimate Firepower Edition takes the cake, hands down. So anyway, that's going to do it for me. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer as many as possible, and hopefully some of the more experienced players will be answering questions as well. But if you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships coming all the time. And if you're brand new, check out the beginners playlist on my channel. We got lots of videos tailored just to players that are just starting out, and that'll give you an edge on the competition when you're just getting going. But that'll do it for me, guys. We'll see y'all later. Peace.